This is Zach Moss, NFL running back and former Utah Utes running back. You're listening to the Utah Utes Football Digest, the source for Utah Utes football. Go Utes.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life.
All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and we've got some awesome guests with us tonight. First, we've got Wild Ute. I'm bringing you on, man. Good to have you here. How are you doing tonight?
What's up, guys? How you doing, Joseph?
Dude, I'm so good. Honestly,
celebrating this big win, huh?
Yeah, my voice is still pretty rough, but I honestly, what a bunch of moments last night that it was almost like I knew my voice was going out, but I really wanted to be a part of that crowd noise. And if you guys were at the game last night or just watching on TV as you guys come in, please make sure you guys like the video. It'll help get it out to more Utes fans. Also, comment down below what was your favorite moment from last night or just whatever you think about the game last night. And if you haven't already, please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and drop some follows to the guys that are part of the digest. We've also got Brian Ankrum right here, a.k.a. at San Antonio Ute. How are you doing tonight, man? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear him, Wild Ute?
Yeah. Great start. Great start, right? Doing well. It's been a great day. It's nice to be 1-0.
Dude, it is so nice. I'm so happy right now. Honestly, I felt like we were going to beat Florida the whole time, but it was nice to see it come to fruition, right? It was pretty cool, and to do it with so many guys out. And, I felt like it was like, as I reflect upon the game, considering how much we didn't have, like 8 starters were out, and some of those starters were some of the best players on our team, and considering we looked that good with, what I would call a bit of a lackluster offense. I just, I couldn't be happier. Why don't you get us started? Why don't you kind of tell us your thoughts on the game just in general? Let's hear it.
It's so sweet. Oh, I love it. I love it. After going to Gainesville last year and having to deal with that Florida crowd, oh gosh, I mean, they really gave it to us when we lost that game and stuff. And it was like that better know it is like the whole Pac-12 bias stuff going on, right? And so to get this win versus the Gators and get that monkey off our back about like that 5 years of no, non-P5 wins and everything, non-conference that everyone's been, spouting out. It's awesome to get that. So I thought the Utes played pretty good on defense. I think on offense, there's some stuff to be desired here. We're going to get into that. And I know you guys feel like, Bryson Barnes, we're going to be the solution here. But you know what? I kind of have mixed emotions about that. I think we should have a really long discussion really about best quarterback going forward. But I'm super stoked for this win. We beat an SEC team. Those defensive tackles were boys for the Gators. Seriously, these guys were like 400 plus pounds, it looked like. There's one guy in special teams that had to be like 350. I've never seen anything like it before. He was seriously like a creative player in NCAA back in the day, the EA Sports game. So anytime you beat an SEC team, you got to celebrate, though. So let's celebrate this one. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Are you talking about Desmond Watson? Is that who you're talking about?
Is that the Florida guy that was playing on special teams?
Well, he's number 21. He's 440 pounds.
Oh, yeah, that was the guy I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, Watson was a D tackle for him. Him and Cameron Jackson, I believe, were the 2 giants on the defensive front for Florida.
And San Antonio, you jumping in, man. Why don't you tell us your thoughts on the game? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, really excited to get a win out of it. You know, I was kind of on the lines you all were. You know, anticipated Utah to win this game without Cam Rising there. I think I had the score all week at, you know, for the last 2 weeks at 28-17. So not too far off. The game actually went a lot better than what I thought. You know, we really could have blown this thing wide open. We had some very unfortunate missed opportunities, which I know Florida did too. But you know, one that comes to mind was that pass by Vele that he was just 2 yards a little too long to Mekhi Bernard. That was an easy walk-in touchdown. I love the play call on that though. It definitely caught him off guard. The defense.
Yeah, the worst part was he was so open. He could have just laid off the gas. He could have given it so much less air, and hit 10 yards on the DB, dude. It was tough to watch.
I mean, we'll cut him some slack. He's a wide receiver, so.
Yeah.
No, I was very, very impressed with the defense. You know, this is a big offensive line for Florida. It's an SEC line. We knew that they were a little bit depleted and inexperienced there. I did not expect Utah's defensive tackles and defensive edges to push them around like we did. It was great. We'll get into stats and breakdowns of the actual positions, but I think this can be an absolute elite defense, especially once we get all of our guys back that weren't able to suit up this game, which I think they'll be back next week at Baylor. Talking about Tafuna and Peppa. Not sure when O'Toole is going to be back. I don't really know what injury he has. But yeah, once that happens, I think this defense is great. Same concerns that Wild Ute had with the offense. I just they definitely are sluggish without Cam Rising.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're going to give a lot of credit to that Florida defensive front though. They pushed our offensive line around, and I was very surprised by that. I thought our offensive line was going to hold their own this game, and they got pushed around pretty well. They still held their own. Did we get sacked? I don't think we gave up a sack the entire game. Is that correct?
That sounds right. I can't think of a sack off the top of my head. Yeah.
So quarterback protection was fairly decent. We just didn't have any push up front in the running game. We could not get our running game going. So
actually, I would love to talk a little more about that. Speaking of the running game, and I would love to just kind of hear your guys' thoughts on it, or actually not just the running game, but the offensive line. And this was totally, dude. It's tough to be super analytical when you're watching the game live. You're not seeing it at the same level. You're seeing it just watching play after play. But I found that I actually thought our offensive line looked really good pass blocking, and run blocking was not good. What did you guys think about the pass blocking last night?
I thought the pass blocking was it was pretty good too. I agree with that. But you know, I'm going to chalk this one up really to Florida's defensive line. I think they played a really good game, shutting this down. I just don't see our running game getting stuffed like that for the rest of the season. I think this was going to be a one-off. I think this running game is going to get going. Really, I think it's just the meat that Florida had really on the defensive line. So I think that our offensive line is going to be fine. We've got depth there. It was Fano's first game, and versus a tough matchup and everything, and still, like we said, no sacks or anything. Some of the quarterback play, obviously accuracy. I thought there was some accuracy issues and stuff with getting the guys and everything. So I think that the line's going to hold up. I think that we're going to be good offensive line-wise for the rest of the season, and we're going to get this running game going. So no major concerns there, and no surprises too, given the talent level on the Florida defensive line.
Yeah, it was. I talked about it all week. I actually thought our defense, especially our offensive line and pass blocking, did exceptionally better than I thought they were going to do. I was worried about them against this D line. The run game had some struggles on our low line against their D line, but I was really impressed with how we looked. And I think I know a lot of people have said this, but I think it's one of the best D lines by a good margin. It's right up there with any D line in the Pac-12 that we're going to play all year. And it's pretty awesome to see how well we did with the unit we had out there. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but there was actually a lot of in and out with different offensive linemen last night. I wasn't noticing it until I was looking at the PFF grades, but there was a lot of different guys that got playing time and a lot of good looks. So what do you think, San Antonio? What do you think about the offensive line?
Yeah, I agree with that, and kind of already touched on that a little bit as far as the pass protection was decent. Zero sacks. Gave Barnes, when he dropped back, enough time to go through his progressions and make the throws. One that comes to mind was his touchdown run. Not Nate Johnson's, but when he was in the pocket for like 4 seconds before he rolled out to the right and had a free shot to the end zone, basically. So that pass protection was fantastic on that play. And really, I didn't see him under pressure a lot. But yeah, we definitely couldn't get a good push on that defensive line to get the running game going. We had nothing up the middle. One thing, that I was really excited to see was Mekhi Bernard. That change of pace back was effective for us. I think he had 40 something yards rushing. I think it was 45 yards rushing, and he averaged over 6 yards per carry. So
and those were dirty yards too. I mean, those were bust outside and everything. He was really fighting for those. Those weren't open holes.
He did great. And if we can get that 1-2 duo, because JJ's going to get going. We all know it. This was a one-off. It didn't play into the way he likes to run, as far as the game flow with Florida's defensive front. But I was saying that last night a lot, Joseph, in some spaces that we were in, that Utah won't see another defensive front like this the rest of the year unless they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I did hear you say that, and I like that point. All right, and on that note, we actually have the man Larry Pilgrim, Pac-12 Pilgrim, on the stream with us. How you doing tonight, Larry?
Good, gentlemen. How are you?
Dude, so good. Couldn't be better.
Nice. It's
a celebration day, guys.
It
Seriously,
really
we beat the
is.
SEC team. We beat the Florida Gators like chomp, 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 right? Like we
Bro,
took
did you
those
see all
guys
those
down.
little kids on the Jumbotron last night going like, chomp, chomp, sleep? They're like, chomp, chomp. It was hilarious. Larry, tell us what you thought, man. Tell us your feelings about the game. I don't think I've heard too much from you.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game plan. We kind of talked about it before. We knew we weren't going to be able to run up the middle. I mean, we knew that just based on their personnel, the size. We kind of knew where we were going to get them, and it was going to be in that range of, behind the linebackers, which I don't think we exploited a lot. But with that lead, I mean, that's classic Kyle Whittingham. Keep away, don't lose me the game. So it was excellent game plan. Our guys pulled it off, and I'm excited to see what happens when we get back to full strength. And so I think I'm really excited about that. This game was awesome. Spencer Fano, he whiffed on a few blocks on run support, and which was really strange because Keaton Bills is right next to him, and I watch them both just let the linebacker come right through the middle. It was just kind of odd to watch. I saw it 2 times that they whiffed on a block, on a run. It was a run block. So I think Spencer Fano was really good, and I was pretty happy about our lines of scrimmage. So that's my view of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I was happy too. And one thing I wanted to talk about is the defense. So I think one thing, I put the stats up on the screen. Our stats, if you look at the numbers our offense have put up, it's not super impressive. It's like you go down that list, which is definitely what's his name? Jake Lukler commented, the by committee is not normal. It worked last night, but dot dot dot. And I would say more than that. I don't know if it's the by committee or what it is, but I'd touch more on the fact that our offense worked last night. It did enough to get us through that game, but dot dot dot. It definitely doesn't have me super optimistic. It sounds like it's going to be about at least 3 to 4 weeks till we get Cam and Brent back. And if that's the offensive performance we put up every week, I'm not loving that. I know San Antonio, you commented on us having an elite defense. I agree. I think our defense looked amazing. That's kind of what I want to touch on next is how good the defense looked. But it is a dangerous game to rely on your defense pitching borderline shutouts, right? It's not what you want to do. Wild, why don't you get us started? Tell us what you think about this defense and, overall, but then also maybe one player that you thought really stood out as an exceptional player, and maybe one player that you, and even if the first guy is a player that you thought was exceptional or you were worried about that really you thought stood out, but also a player that you thought maybe didn't have the best night that you thought might do a little better.
Well, I think Cole Bishop was a stud last night, even going through the cramps, right?
Cole
I mean, that's
Bishop,
an obvious pick, right? Really, like the guy's a tackling machine, monster, cramping up, and just playing like a stud. So, I mean, this defense is so loaded. I think Teo Johnson's hit on that sweep around, too, I think, what was it, Ricky Pearsall? He just crushed, too. And, like, just seeing Teo Johnson, who was a converted wide receiver, hit someone like that was awesome. And this Ute team, without Rising and Keithy, reminds me of like the retro 7 years ago U teams, but like a more advanced, better version of those teams. Remember when we had no quarterback play, like back in like the day and stuff, and we had Travis Wilson, those teams. This is like an enhanced version, like an A+ version of those teams until Rising gets back. That's kind of how I see it. Like I think that when Rising gets back, though, and Keithy get back, this is a special team, y'all. Like Whittingham said, this is the best, most talented team he's ever had, ever in 20 years. This is crazy. Like, this could be such a special season, and that's why this Baylor game is so massive. Like you said, Joseph,
big, dude. So big.
Like you said, like Rising's probably not coming back. Keithy's probably not coming back until UCLA. Like, just trying to think of it out loud, right? It just makes too much sense. The Pac-12 play begins there. You put those guys in. So how do you get this win on the road at Baylor and serious heat, serious humidity, and like, and it's going to be a stretch, I think. But like going back on the defense side, just to finish that thought, this is an elite top 10 defense. Cole Bishop's a stud. Vaki's a stud. There's studs all over the place. I mean, seriously, there's too many studs to name. And this rushing, the defensive rushing attack, like stopping the run and everything, it's gonna be a top maybe 5, 7 nationally. I think like shutting down the run, the rush defense, it's just going to be stacked all year with all the depth, with all the talent, the linebacker and DL. I mean, it's really exciting to see.
No, I agree 100%, man. I'm super excited, and yeah, we got to get through Baylor, and then we get a borderline bye against Weber State. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we can't treat it like that, but that's really what it should be. And then we get started with conference play. So hopefully we can make that happen. And San Antonio, why don't you touch on a little? Obviously, amazing defense last night. Who'd you think really stood out as a great player that either you expected or were surprised? And then also maybe touch on someone that you felt like didn't perform as well and that you would have wanted more out of.
Yeah, so I'll just start off with who I think stood out and not necessarily whether I expected or was surprised. I'll do the surprise standout after, but who I thought really stood out on the defensive edge was Jonah Ellis. He was constantly beating the offensive tackle all game, really. I mean, they could not handle his speed, and he's a big defensive end. He's what 6'5", 6'6", like 250. I mean, just a strong dude. And
he looked so good last night.
For him to have that kind of speed, awesome. That's going to put a ton of pressure. And then my surprise, and I, it's not really a surprise, but he is a redshirt freshman, and it's the other defensive edge that started. Logan Fano.
Yeah.
There was one play that comes to mind. It was Jonah Ellis's first sack. So what actually happened on that play is Fano beat his guy around the back, forced Mertz up in the pocket, and then Ellis had also beat his guy and cleaned him up. So Fano forced his hand on that, and he also had a sack. I thought he played really well. And then the one that needs a little more work, a little more cleaning up, which I think it'll happen. He's new to the program. It's Lavani Damouni. There's one play in particular where they snuck the tight end out, I think, or the slot receiver. I can't remember. And he got toasted. He misread it, and it was about a 25, 30-yard play.
Yeah.
And he just didn't look locked in, which, I can see why. He just joined the program, and he had to get a lot more run than expected when Teo Johnson blasted Karene Reed and looks like concussed him. That's my only guess. I'm happy we have 10 days because I think you can probably pass the protocol in that amount of time, hopefully, depending on the severity. But and the rest of our defense is absolutely solid. Broughton, he had some Broughton plays. He also had some really good plays, and his tackling looked legit last night. That was exciting to see. Battle had a high PFF grade, the highest of any of our corners. He didn't get near the snaps. He had 35 snaps, but he's going to continue to see more and more as we move into the season. So, and then we don't have to say too much about the safeties. Wild, you'd already hit on that. They're both unbelievable. It's one of the top 5 safety duos, I think, in the nation. They're going to be amazing all year. They both have speed. They can both just crush. I mean, they're great in the box. It's going to be interesting to see them play a little more coverage in the secondary. I don't doubt they can do it very well, though.
Hey, Joseph, can you pull up Broughton's stats? Was Broughton the guy that got burned on the touchdown? Got mossed? Who's the guy that got mossed on our team?
That was actually Zemaiah Vaughn.
Was that Vaughn?
Yeah, that was Vaughn. It was kind of sad. It was just a really nice play by that receiver, though.
Right. I mean, that was
what do you
a great
say
play.
about it? What a catch. Yeah. He was like his arms were out like this, just holding on to the ball, dude. It was pretty impressive.
I really want to see Broughton's stats, though, because I know that he was like the
I have
guy.
some of his stats here, Wild.
Let's hear them.
So he actually was second on the team in tackles. He had 8 tackles with 7 solos. That's great. He had 1 tackle for loss. He had 1 pass defended. He did get kind of burned a couple of times, but I think we were just keying in on stopping that running game. It's going to happen when you're doing that. We still. They could move the ball in, between the 30s, between the 25s even. But when it came down to it, it was, that classic bend but don't break style of Utah defense. So I liked what I saw.
Yeah, it was an awesome night defensively. Good word, San Antonio. I want to give Larry a chance to speak. Anything else you want to drop in there, San Antonio?
No, that's all I got for now, Larry.
Larry, go for it, man. Awesome night last night. Who was the best player in your mind? And then who do you think disappointed a little bit last night on defense?
So, I think Cole Bishop was probably the star. He was in the right place at the right time. He just had physically, mentally, was just there on both levels. Zemaiah Vaughn was a little bit – he was really good last year against USC, and that coverage sucked. I was trying to tell Philip Wild Ute last night, ESPN did not do a good job of backing those cameras out, and we didn't get a whole lot of view of the field. So it was hard to see the coverage sacks. But I think Samaya Vaughn was probably a little bit of the most disappointing because Mertz hit Pearsall, and I can't believe Samaya Vaughn bit on that. I mean, it was a stop and go, and it was just he should have never got burned on that. And so he played okay. I wish I could have saw some of the other stuff. And here's the one player that I think is unsung that a lot of people weren't paying attention was David Fotu. When he was in there, they had to double team him.
Really?
So he, usually like a Peppa takes up that double block and helps the other defensive tackle, linebackers, defensive ends. David Fotu was actually demanding double teams, and they were having to pay a lot of attention to him. And so, he's not going to get a lot of the credit, but if you go back and watch the film, he was pretty good. He was forcing them to really pay attention and free up some of the other players. So that would be my defensive disappointment player and unsung hero that wasn't seen.
Very cool. Yeah, and I'll just
Can I add one more that I did out that really comes to
sure.
mind? So we were lacking our leadership and our best defensive tackles last night. And a guy who really stepped up was Keanu Tanavasa. He got a sack, and I vividly remember this sack. He put a heck of a spin move, then went right up the middle, and Mertz was trying to get rid of the ball, and he went, he got tall with his hands, put him up so he couldn't get rid of the ball, but he did not leave his feet. He maintained momentum, and he crushed Mertz on that sack. So he really did a good job of holding his own on that defensive interior. They could not run the ball up the middle. Same way, Utah couldn't. Florida really couldn't. They had 13 yards rushing.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to chime in here too.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's like one last thought. This is an SEC team here. Look at that. 11 points. 11 points.
And really, it's more like 30,
points.
dude. It's 11 points, but it's more
How
like
can
30.
you knock any of our defenders when we gave up 11 points? How many possessions do they have? Like, 12 possessions? Probably 13 in the game? Like, seriously, our defense is lights out. I know they made some mistakes, but this defense is so dang good and stuff. I don't think anyone played terrible on the defense or anything, but, like, that is impressive. When you're holding SEC opponents, Florida Gators to 11 points, man, major kudos to this defense.
For real, yeah, I agree 100%, dude. Honestly, that was probably one of the best defensive performances I can remember in recent history for Utah. I was super impressed. Like, I really don't believe that 11 points really tells the story of what happened last night.
Did you hear the stats? Did you hear the stats on? So we all know Mertz, and you might have been getting to that. He had 12 passes of his 33, 31. Did you know 12 of those were at or behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry.
No, that was a great point. No, I was going to touch on the fact that Graham Mertz has this decent looking stat line at 333 with 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But that's really not what happened last night. Just anyone that has not watched the game, Utah got up and Utah's defense was looking awesome. And then it was bend, don't break. Let them milk the clock. We're going to let them get 3-5 yards when they want, and we are just going to let them run that clock out because we know we got the game in hand. That's where all of his yards came from. Like, I'd say a good 200 to 175 to 200 were at that point when we were just like, all right, dude, we'll give you the short stuff. But it is what it is there. I just wanted to touch on my defensive guys too before we move on to the next topic. So my guy that I thought was really impressive last night, and it's a guy that I'm super critical of, is DeTravis Broughton. I have been not a fan of DeTravis Broughton. I've probably been one of his biggest negators around. So I thought he was awesome last night. A bunch of open field tackles, a bunch of good plays, a few pass breakups. There was one big play to Ricky Pearsall that he gave up that Ricky just didn't catch the ball. But either way, I thought he had an awesome game, and I was really impressed. And a guy that I think is really, that second cornerback spot is really, really important for determining how Utah does this season on defense. That's going to be a big position. The guy that I thought was a little underwhelming is one of my favorite players. It was Tao Johnson. It sucks to say because I'm a huge fan of him, and I know he made a couple open field tackles. And it was partly because he was matched up with Ricky Pearsall so much, but I definitely saw him get beat by Ricky quite a few times where Ricky was wide open and he just didn't get the ball. So is what it is there. I thought Teo's, it wasn't a terrible night for him, and I think he'll just continue to get better. I just think he needs to be aware of it and keep improving. And the
Hey,
next
Joseph,
thing,
before you leave this
Yeah.
page, like I'm just looking at this. Like, check this out, guys. So, if anyone's saying Mertz had a good game, look at this QBR.
yeah,
for
30.
Mertz. Who's Mertz closest to out of the three passers? Devon Vele, who missed one pass on a wide open, like on a wide receiver pass right there. That just sums it up right there. I mean, seriously, Mertz had his numbers look good, but he was getting chased all day. He's making bad decisions, plenty of pre-snap penalties. So don't say that he had a good game. Don't.
Well-
The game's at 11 points. Come on.
A lot of that comes from having minus 29 rushing yards from getting sacked 5 times too, plus the one pick, which the one pick really wasn't his fault, but yeah, he deserved the grade he got. He missed some very easy open throws. It looked like he had the yips there for a minute in, like, I think it was the second quarter. He couldn't
San
get
Antonio, I'm telling you, it was so loud in there. I really feel like the crowd played a factor. Wild, you were there too. I really felt like that first quarter and a half, they were not communicating on offense because of the noise. Did you feel that way too?
I think they were
felt it.
surprised with how loud it was. In
Yep.
fact, like at halftime, I had a conversation with some Gator fans that said that too. They're like, "How is the stadium so loud? There's only 50,000 seats." It's like, "Hey guys, this is why we haven't lost in 5 years with fans in the stands here. This place is nuts." And so I think they were a little shell shocked about that.
Yeah,
I'm with
they should have been, considering how lightly they were freaking taking it. And before we move on to the next topic, guys, if you guys are in here, please make sure you like the video. That'll help get it out to more Utes fans. Also, comment down below. I'm going to be dropping the questions that we're all talking about on the banner at the bottom of the screen. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. All the guys on the screen right now are doing a bunch of awesome work helping contribute to the channel. So appreciate you guys a lot and appreciate the community we're building here. And the next thing I want to talk about is the quarterback position. So obviously last night started off with the freaking bang, right? It was just Bryson Barnes, play action, over the top, 70 yards to Money Parks. Awesome play. Super excited about that. And that was one of the loudest moments of the night. As loud as it got, that was a big one. And so it was awesome to just know that we have some reliable quarterback play. But throughout the rest of the night, it wasn't quite as good. There were good moments. There were not good moments. But I would love to get your guys' thoughts on where quarterback goes from here. Who should be the starter? Should we keep doing this split time? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And on this one, we'll go ahead and start with Larry. Larry, you want to jump in? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, in all honesty, I think I was talking last night with San Antonio on this. It's hard for me to pick what quarterback without really knowing. I really don't know Baylor's defense. And so you have two different skill sets. And so it's hard for me to answer that without looking at Baylor's weakness. So I'm not really going to have a good idea. Nate Johnson's ceiling is much higher. I don't know if I trust him right now, but until I can see what we're going up against, it's going to be hard for me to pick quarterback going forward. So that's where I'm sitting at this moment.
Well, I love the strong opinion there, Larry. Just kidding. Anything else you want to drop in, Larry, or should we move on?
No, you can go to the next one. You can go to the next guy.
Well, now we got the guy that has more opinions than anyone else, San Antonio. Go for it, dude.
I can't help it. Yeah, I'm going to hit up a question in the chat from RJ Rupert because this was something I was going to talk about. He said last night after the game, Witt talked about this in his presser that within the last 24 hours, Cam Rising has been upgraded. to be a full practice participant, and including all the 11v11 stuff. And basically, he has not been cleared to play in a game yet. That there's a difference there. They're allowing him to practice. He's not been cleared for a game. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, does Whittingham look at this win and say, you know what, we really got away with one here. We got a really good team. We had an SEC opponent come in, and we came out with a pretty dominant win. We go to Baylor next week. You know, it would be really nice to win this game and set ourselves up for a playoff run. I don't know if Whittingham is thinking that. I don't know if it necessarily comes down to Whittingham. It seems like it's more doctor related than anything. So kind of wonder though if he gets the all clear this week. I mean, why would they not put him in? If he's all clear, then it means he's not at risk of re-injury through, you know, normal use, normal contact. So I don't see any reason to hold him out at that point, but we'll just have to wait and see. If he doesn't go, I do have an opinion on the quarterback. I did not like shuffling them in and out like that. I thought Bryson Barnes, he has a lot better arm talent than Nate Johnson. That was on display. Nate Johnson has a great future, don't get me wrong, and he's going to continue getting better. He just hasn't thrown a lot against college defenses. He's electric, you know, when he gets out and breaks free. So there's always that. I think he should be put into situations, and we'll see him all year, even if Cam's there. But I think they need to keep Bryson in there, keep his rhythm going. I think he kind of got out of sorts a little bit once they were putting Johnson in for full drives. Barnes can sling it. I mean, he's an accurate passer. He's got a hell of a deep ball. Speaking of the first play, and I was talking with the group about this, but I posted, I sent a tweet out at like 1:30 yesterday saying, I hope Utah comes out in play action to take advantage of an overzealous Florida defense. And we hit about a 40-yard pass play, the first play of the game, 70-yard touchdown, the first play of the season. That far exceeded what I was hoping for. So that was pretty awesome, though. It's always fun to kind of hit on one of those, you know, and then you got to brag about it a little bit. You got to put it out there. So anyways, I think we go with Barnes. I just think he gives us the best chance to win against Baylor.
No, that was really well thought out, and I'll give you a lot of credit there, dude. I actually, I would agree. You were pretty adamant in all the chats we had and all the videos you made leading up to it that we need to, hit the play action, and that's going to work a lot. So, I mean, I think that was a good take. So, good work.
I wish I could have bet a prop on that
for a 70-yard play action touchdown pass,
or just play action completion or something like that.
Yeah,
the first play.
All right, Wild and tell us what you think, man. Where do we go at quarterback from here?
Yeah, if Rising 60%, if you can get 60%, anything better than that, you put him in for this game. It's that big. You got to win it. If he's not ready to go, not clear to play, not 60%, but more like 40, 50, then sit him out, wait till UCLA, and then start Nate Johnson. And this one, this is a pretty clear decision to me. I know that it's a lot different than what people are saying here, but yeah, we've seen this story before. We've seen the Travis Wilsons. We've seen these guys before for the Utes lose on the road in big games. This is going to be a tough game to win. We need explosion. If you look at Barnes' stat line, okay, he's 12 for 18, 150 plus yards, maybe around there. All those yards came on the first play of the game, and we caught him off guard on that play action pass. So I mean, he's just dink and dunk. He's a game manager. That's fine as a backup, but we can't afford to have him starting this game. We need explosion. We need an X factor. We need a guy that can make and bust a run 80, 90 yards. We need someone like Nate Johnson. I get that he's a risky passer. I get that. But, guys, we have to take risks to win this type of game. we're not going to be Mr. Conservative over here with Bryson Barnes winning this type of football game, even with our good defense. We need something more. So if it's between those two, the decision's clear. You need someone that has more explosion. And that's Nate Johnston. Hey, if Nate throws a couple picks, then put Bryson Barnes in the game. But I think Nate Johnston should be starting this. I think he should start the rest of the way. And like if he doesn't start right now, he's never going to start, guys, because Isaac Wilson's going to come in next year. And like if he can't beat out Bryson Barnes right now for a third string quarterback or Brandon Rose, I mean, he's going to be leaving the program. Let's be honest about that. I think this guy's a stud. I think he has major speed, major playmaking, X factor ability. You saw it on that 30-yard busted run. I mean, he's unstoppable when he gets in open space. Just get him more comfortable passing. And I think that he could be the player we think he is. So I think that Nate Johnston's the solution here.
So we're split.
A lot of.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Something?
We're split on this one, so I know that I get the reasoning behind Barnes because Barnes is the safer play. But like when you're in big games like that Penn State game, like last year and stuff, and that Wazoo game last year, I'm just like thinking just such a struggle. It's just a slog with no explosion. I'm so freaking sick of the Utes having no explosion. I want a little Lamar Jackson. I want someone that can bust a 90-yard play. I want someone with that major X factor. And Nate's that four-star recruit that we've been waiting for. I'm like, you got to put him out there, and he's going to have to take some knocks. Like, you got to play him. Like, and if he turns it over a million times, 2+ times, then bench him. But really, give him a chance. I think you should start him versus Baylor and keep it rolling until Cam's ready.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say I'm in a similar boat as you, Wild Ute. I feel like, funny enough, I usually lean hard on PFF grades, and Nate Johnston had some struggles throwing the ball, and the stat line shows that. But I felt like when I was watching him, he looked like the most explosive player on the field on either team. He was special when he was running that ball. And just so we're all on the same page, yeah, it was a read option offense. Literally every time Nate went in, almost every single play was a read option. But they knew that was coming. They knew he was doing a read option every play, and they still couldn't stop him. And when we look at this, he's got 6 carries for 45 yards. I believe his stat line last year was 5 carries for 51 yards. So over both those seasons together, it's not a crazy sample size, but we're talking about like 8 yards a carry average, and there's not like a 90-yard run in there or something like that. It's like this guy's really putting up those type of numbers on the ground. Now, I would say it does make us pretty one-dimensional. I am worried about Nate if he does have to throw, so there's for sure some concerns there. I actually don't hate this split-time quarterback thing. I think I see why they're doing it. Like, as I really talk about it, I'm like, well, yeah, you have this extremely explosive guy in Nate Johnston. You want to see the field, and Bryson Barnes is explosive enough to where they have to respect it, and he can run the offense with the dink and dunk if he has to. So that's kind of my thoughts there. But yeah, definitely a split between all of us.
Can we talk about what the issue is with Nate Johnston? Like, because out of high school, this guy had arm talent. He's got arm strength. Like, is it the accuracy of the issue, or it's like the decision making?
It's mental,
what is the
for
problem?
Sure. I think he gets nervous. I don't know why. I don't know why. It looks like he's lost when he has to throw the ball. It's like sad to watch. Like when he had that fumble last night, I was like, dude, you're having such a good night, and you're gonna do this crap. What are you doing? So, what do you guys think it is? What do you guys think the problem is with Nate Johnston?
Yeah, he doesn't have the arm strength that Barnes has, for sure.
Whoa! Have you not watched his high school tape? The kid was throwing 60 yards in high school.
Mm-hmm.
This is just coming from what I've heard, inside the program, that they're really working on his. They're doing a lot of long tossing with him, trying to build his arm strength up a little bit.
Yeah, he did have a cannon coming out of high school, but also don't forget, Larry, is arm strength is a variety of things, right? It's how far you can throw the ball, how quickly the ball leaves your hand till it gets to the receiver, right? They could be talking about not even just like long ball shots, but it's like fire the ball into these tight spaces. That's where Bryson Barnes actually does really well. He doesn't have like this huge deep arm, but he hits these short passes really quickly.
I think the exact words used were he lacks the ability to really drive the ball downfield. But you're right. He can hit he does have a strong arm. I'm not saying his arm's weak by any means.
Right.
That's just one thing that might be holding him back. But I think just reading defenses in general is the other big thing. You know, he's a redshirt freshman. Technically, they didn't burn his red shirt last year, so he's a redshirt freshman. Sorry, I got people at the door, and he just never really got that much run. You know, I think he threw one pass. It was a touchdown to the Rhino, but
he seems like an A version of Jason Shelley, doesn't he? Like Shelley just didn't have the speed and explosiveness, but it seems like based on what you're saying, San Antonio, Nate Johnson's kind of like that arm level talent and everything with processing. Because Shelley had the same type of issues, but just not 4.2 speed.
See, because I'm hearing other things out of camp. I've got my contact is literally like best friends with half the team, and so like kind of what I've been getting, and it's been a problem of Whittingham, and it's a major issue. Kyle puts so much emphasis on turning the ball over when they're throwing it that he has scared the living daylights out of just about every quarterback that comes through that program. He is so hell-bent on not turning the ball over that he's got these kids scared. And so a lot of these guys are not playing with the free flow. From Travis Wilson, even Tyler Huntley, and Jason Shelley, and Nate Johnson as well. Cam Rising, kind of, I guess he didn't really give a crap from what I'm understanding. But from what I've heard from camp, the players actually want Nate Johnson. The players in the program, and I mean, I said to keep this between us. I'm not going to say who, you know, but from what I understand, a lot of the guys on that team completely believe in what Nate Johnson can do for the team. And so that's kind of the word I've got. And it's more of a mental thing of being scared crapless of Kyle Whittingham is what I've been told. He's so scared, he's gun shy. So
that's good insight, Larry. I know you got a few connections in your pocket, don't you? So that's I got some good ones. So you're my connection, dude. So if that means anything.
yeah. No, in fact, I talked to my guy, I think it was 2 days ago, and he literally talks with he's connected to pretty much half the football team, and you know, and he told me about the Charlie Brewer thing. Charlie Brewer was a locker room nightmare. That's why that kid was never going to make it at Utah. Cam Rising it's the same situation almost right now. They don't look at Brewer or the same way. Bryson Barnes has earned his stripes, but the team still, you know, like they love Barnes and they're going to stand behind their guy. But the team they have a higher belief in Johnson. So, I mean, if you guys have played sports, and you guys probably know if you've played football, you know who the guy is on the sideline that's the best guy. Yeah. So that's where that is.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's everyone that's at practice every day knows who it really is. It's like, or even like the best athlete or the best player on the team. There might be some debate from the fans, but it's like, well, no, we all know if this one guy puts it all together in one game, it's going to be nasty. So, all right, I'm going to move us on to the next topic. So, obviously, the offense was pretty lackluster, like we talked about, right? There wasn't a lot going on. There was a couple big plays, but outside of that, it felt like it was really just grinding out. We were 3 for 13 on third down conversions, pretty rough there. So let's talk about it. So who surprised you on this offense? Maybe some guys that stood out that you weren't expecting, but also who are you really interested in seeing get more touches against Baylor? Who do you want to see the ball a little more? Let's go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, I think that Mekhi Bernard was a standout in the game, and I thought Jaquindon Jackson was going to go bonkers And I was talking so much smack to the Florida fans, like, "Hey, Jaquinda Jackson's gonna totally
Me
just
too, dude.
torch you guys," like, "Hey, you're gonna see the back of his jersey all freaking day." It just didn't happen. But Bernard had a really solid game because of those busts left and right and everything. I was really stoked about his performance, and he really showed out his experience and everything. So I would say that it would be Mackay. As far as a player that I wanted to get more action, I mean, Pittman missed that drop. He had dropped that wide open pass and everything, but really Emery Simmons didn't seem to get a lot of play to me and stuff. I don't know if we pull up a stat line, I'm curious on what his catches were, but I thought that he was going to be like a kind of more of a monster on short catches and everything. Let's see.
Yeah, he didn't get any
0.
catches.
Zero catches, guys, and so he was supposed to be a stud coming in here and like in catching machine and everything. And I know that he had a couple targets, at least one target that I remember at the game. But really, I was kind of disappointed that he didn't get the ball more. I mean, he ate when he was over at UNC. So really, I don't know what we're doing with that. We've got some talented guys, especially in short yardage situations. I mean, like these Mikey Matthews, Emery Simmons. We got to get them the ball. So Emery is really a guy that you need to target and everything. So that's got to be my biggest disappointment there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And then, yeah, hopefully we could see. So are you saying you think we should get him the ball more, or are you thinking it might be, just not working out with Emery Simmons?
I think that, I mean, this guy's a senior. He's produced in multiple places in the Big Ten, the ACC. Come on, it's not on Emery Simmons. He's done it before. You got to get him the ball, though. So I'll pin that one on the quarterback play. I'm just getting him the ball, honestly. So I don't think it's really Emery. I think it's just more of a focus on getting these guys the ball. We've got a deep room, guys. Like, this receiver room's deep. I don't know if there's a lot of high-end talent yet. Mikey Matthews might reach that one day. But like, and these guys can catch the ball, especially in short yardage situations, intermediate passes and everything. And we even had that bust, like the first play of the game. So I think that we really need to focus on letting these wide receivers eat more and having a more balanced offense, because we were pretty run heavy, it seemed like.
No, those are some really good points. I also think when we talk about the wide receiver room, we have no idea who's going to be the star. Like like you said, it's so deep. The guys that no one really did well last night. Money Parks had one big play, but outside of that, nobody was really eating. But we have no idea who the star is going to be. I'm sure there's a guy right now that maybe none of us are talking about or had a really subpar performance last night that is going to be big. So, and then with that, let's go ahead and move on to San Antonio. What do you think, man? Who surprised you on the offense, and who do you want to see us give more touches to?
Yeah. So Evan in the chat earlier asked what we thought of Mikey Matthews, and I know that Wild Butte already hit on this, but he was my guy. I mean, I was very impressed with Matthews as a true freshman coming in. Just looking at the stats, he had the most receptions on the team. He was second in yards, and the only reason he was second is because Money Parks had a 70-yarder the first play of the season. So seeing Matthews do that, including running him on a little kind of a jet sweep type play that he did. He picked up 4 yards rushing. We will see more of that, I think, similar to what they would do with Dixon, last year and the previous couple years. In the same position is my disappointment, and it's the same one Wild Butte talked about. Micah Pittman, he acted like his head wasn't in the game. Like he wasn't mentally involved in the game from the beginning. That first punt that he received, I don't even know what he was doing. He ran to the couple steps to the left, couple steps to the right, and I think he lost a couple yards. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just a product of not having Cam Rising in. He came to the program because he has a strong relationship with Cam. They've known each other since 8th grade in Southern California. I know that they have worked together all summer. Once Cam could begin throwing, they've worked together a lot, and maybe they just have that connection and that timing that he doesn't really have with the other quarterbacks. So maybe he was just out of it mentally. I don't think he's a bust. I think we're going to see better games for Pittman, but it was definitely a low point on our offense. The other one, obviously we've talked about it. I'm not gonna keep hitting on it, but it was our running game, and Mekhi Bernard did great. We talked about that, but Jaquin Jackson, he'll have better games as we talked about earlier. So those would be kind of my two disappointments.
Oh, good points. Good points. Larry, what do you think, man? Who surprised you on this offense that didn't do well, and who do you want to get more touches and see what they're capable of?
Well, I think it's unanimous here. I think we're all on the same page here. I think Mikey Matthews gets the gold star. Pittman, I mean, he had the first down, if not a touchdown. I mean, he would have caught that at about the 30, and I think there was 2 guys left between him and the end zone, and he had 1 blocker. So I'm kind of agreeing there. Micah Bernard is just, man, that guy just amazes me every game. I think he helped us out. Remember last year, BYU? Without him, we would have been way worse against BYU with Brewer, or 2 years ago, sorry. But yeah, Mikey Matthews to me, I love our QBs, but man, I cannot wait till Cam gets in there with Pittman and Matthews, and then he's going to have Simmons. He's going to have these tall receivers. So Matthews is the guy I'm looking for to have a breakout. So,
hey guys, do you think that Mikey Matthews is the best Ute receiver, at least the potential that we've seen since Steve Smith?
It's a good comparison. I mean, they kind of play the same way and similar size. He very well could be. He's a true freshman, and seeing what he did, he has no fear. The stage was not too big for him. We saw the same thing down at that. I think it was the On3 invite that he got down in Florida when he was going against Cormani McClain and toasting him, and I think he was an MVP at that camp, if I'm not mistaken. At least one of the days he was. So I don't think there's a stage too big for him. He can definitely be that guy. And yeah, I didn't even think about Steve Smith though. That's a great comparison.
It just seems like he's the best receiving prospect that we've had on the roster since Steve Smith. I mean, we've had some decent ones over the year, but this kid is so dang special. Seriously, he is going to be an absolute stud-o star, and he's already shown it. He's the best receiver on the team, I think. Now.
You see the Gator fan in here? Gator Nation. Lucky game. You guys got a lucky game that you got 11 points, dude. What are you talking about? I don't know. Bro, Gators fans I'll give Gators fans something, and I'm sure you guys would agree. They are impressively confident. I mean, like, even last year, I remember and they are vocal. Like, I don't know about you guys. Coming into the game last year, I was shocked as a few of my Twitter posts just caught fire. And I was like, whoa, this is a huge fan base. And this year, the same thing happened. I am going to miss the Gators. It is fun to beat the crap out of a bunch of loudmouths with a ton of talent and no team chemistry. It's a good time. Oh man,
we're 7-5 at best, I guess.
I think the hardest part about that whole process is, and like you're saying, I mean, we were at the 6-yard line, 1st and goal, 30 seconds. We gave the game away, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, "You guys are up in the night, whatever." You didn't give that game away, but then they turn around in that performance and say that they gave that it's like, whoa, okay. So, reality.
Yeah. Hey, and then the next thing I want to move on to, guys, is going to be how do we feel about Florida? What do we think of Florida? I was going to ask a different question, but I think because we've got a little swamp rat in the chat, we might as well chat about it. let's let's talk about, what do you guys think of Florida? How was that team? Were they just a really bad team, or were we just really good? Obviously, it seems like Florida continues to say they just lost that game because they weren't prepared. But I think Utes fans might feel a little differently. Where are your guys' minds at? What, were we just really good on defense, or were they just really not getting it together on offense? And San Antonio, this time, we're starting right in the middle with you, dude. Go for it. Let's hear it.
All right. Yeah, it might be a combination of both. I mean, our defense is really good. We've known that, and it was, possibly better than I expected it to be, even with some key players out. But they have some definite gaps that they need to get addressed quickly. Some of that being the offensive line. I don't know what's going to happen with Mertz. Sometimes he can look great. It's that decision-making thing. And I don't know how you correct that. And I don't see him correcting that in season. So, I don't really know. They have good talent. They're going to get some offensive linemen back too. Kingsley, the center, he'll be back starting for him next week, most likely. And they've got two really good running backs. So if they can get that ground game going and allow Mertz to hit those intermediate routes and run some play action, they can be good. Decent, I would say. Their defense is pretty average, probably for an SEC defense. They're good up front, but I think all of them, all the top SEC schools are massive and talented up front. So yeah. I would say they're middle of the road defensively this year, and I just think they're going to struggle in the SEC.
I'm going to give Ron Nolan a little shout out on this comment. I found this one pretty funny. Mertz got his head taken off. Lucky that they found his jock strap. It was found in his throat. He was kicked in the A so hard and he almost threw up. Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. All right, and then Larry, let's hear your thoughts next.
Oh, on I don't think they're horrible. When you go back and you look at the whole game, I mean they were pretty fast. We couldn't get them on any of the dump offs on the side. I don't think they were horrible. I just think our defense was that damn good. Our defense set us up with that interception to get one touchdown. So I don't think they're horrible. I think they're a middle of the road SEC team. I just think Utah's defense is that damn good. And I've been saying it for months. So I think Utah just made them look bad.
Yeah. And it was also a hostile environment too.
Don't give our 50,000 fans credit, because it's not SEC. It's 100,000 people.
Yeah. Well, it's not about the size of the stadium. It's about the decibel levels in the stadium.
Yeah. So I think Utah just exposed. I think we're just that good of a defense. I think they're middle of the road SEC, and we just had a good defense.
I feel really similar, Larry. Good comments, dude. Yeah. And I bet you if you put that Florida offense on a lie detector, they're going to tell you that crowd noise shook them, because it really felt that way when you were at the game. And I'm sure you could kind of feel it at least a little watching it. I remember watching Utah-Oregon a couple of years ago when Oregon came to Utah. I was watching it on the TV, and it was so loud my TV was shaking, dude. I don't think the camera guys were ready for it. What do you think, Wild? What are your thoughts? Was it Utah that good, or was Florida that bad?
I think Florida's really bad, guys. And I know that Gators out there, man, it's going to be a tough season. I just pulled up the Florida schedule. 2 cream puffs now in non-conference games. I'm going to read this off to you, okay? Tennessee, that's a loss. Kentucky, that's a loss. Vanderbilt, that's a win. South Carolina versus Florida, that's a loss. Georgia, Florida, that's a loss. Arkansas, Florida, push them, probably a loss. LSU, Florida, loss. Florida, Missouri, a win. Florida State, Florida, a loss. This is a 2-win This is like probably when you're factoring in all the schedule, anywhere from 4 to 6 wins for the season, including 2 really cream puffs. So I think this is one of the worst teams in the SEC. I think that if you put them in the Pac-12, this is a UCLA level, mid-level Pac-12 team. But these guys are going to get absolutely punished in the SEC, and it's because of Mertz. They've got talent other places, but Mertz is such a bad quarterback, y'all. I mean, Larry, you know this. You did the book on Mertz. Like Graham Mertz can only see one side of the field. That is the knock on Graham Mertz. Like he cannot read through progressions on. So if you can figure that out on defense, you're gonna shut him down. Any pressure, exotic pressure, he's totally donezo. So this is not a good team because of the quarterback play. They don't have anybody backing up in quarterback. I talked to a Gator fan at halftime. I'm like, hey, you guys need to bench Mertz. What are you guys doing? He's like, yeah, well, we need to bench Mertz, but we don't got nobody back there, right? So like their second stringer is this guy that transferred in from Ohio State, according to this Gator fan that just got off like an injury, like he had an ACL or some injury, and he hasn't even played much, so he can't even play right now. And the third stringer just got on campus 3 months ago, and he's a walk-on. So guys, this quarterback situation is horrible. They should have had Jaden Rashada who's playing at ASU this whole time, but this is going to be an ugly season. I think Napier's going to get canned, honestly. I think that's how bad it's going to be for the Gators, and hopefully they'll retool in the future. But until the quarterback situation gets better, this Gator team is going to struggle big time. All that said, again, if you put the Gator team in the Pac-12, you had probably a middling Pac-12 team, given like the quality on the roster and everything. And it was a really good win by the Utes, and this defense is elite. I'm not saying that the defense isn't, but I think that we need to consider that the Gators just really aren't like maybe a top 50, 60 team in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, man, it's a bunch of super talented guys that have no team chemistry. That's really what we've got going on here. And I heard some Gator fans say something really similar when I was walking out. These guys were like, I wound up talking to them. I asked them what they thought of Rice Eccles. I was like, was it loud? And they kept calling the stadium fun. And it was like, yeah, it's a fun place. It's not SEC, but it's fun. I've never heard fun used in such a derogatory term, way. And I was just like, dude, what are you guys talking about? Did you hear how loud that was? I mean, to be fair, I've never been to a big time SEC game, but that was one of the loudest things I've ever heard. I've been to like huge rock concerts and stuff. I mean, that was nuts. But anyways, before we move on to the next topic, guys, make sure you guys like the video. That'll help get it out to more Utah fans. Seriously, if you guys are a Utah fan, comment in the chat, or if you're a Florida fan, I want to hear you guys' opinions and join along. We're going to keep the questions scrolling at the bottom of the ticker here so you guys can, keep engage in the conversation with us. I love all the comments you guys are dropping. Keep them up. Even the Gators fans, it's fun to see them wildly confident, even in embarrassingly bad failure. And with that, also make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you guys love Utah Utes football, everybody in this chat basically is going to be making videos for the channel. So I'm excited to have that. And Wild Ute, if you need to go anytime, you're good to go, dude. Do you want to do one more? We'll do one more series of questions. And
yeah, one more series. Let's do it.
Cool. Let's jump on here. All right. I think this is a good question for you to leave on. How do we feel about our season after last night? I know that's a tough question, right? It is a tough question, but I do think it does change your mind on how Utah, like what you really believe is possible when you see it, right? But until they hit the field, you don't know. Maybe everyone on the team gained 40 pounds and is out of shape, right? Like until they get on that field, what does the team look like? So let's go ahead and go around the table. Did it raise your expectations? What do you think Utah is really capable of, and realistically, where do you think we go from here? Larry, let's start with you.
Yeah, that gave me a lot of confidence, seeing kind of confirming my belief on the defense and the cohesiveness. Feeling really good about the season. Obviously, just Cam Rising, Kuthi coming back. That's my big. I'm just hoping those guys can get in there and be close to 100%. That gave me a lot of confidence to see our defense just shut them down. I know they're not the greatest team, but they've got some studs. So I've got a lot of confidence now. That gave me a lot more confidence in Utah going forward.
Awesome, dude. Anything else you want to throw in there, Larry?
Nope, that's it.
Cool. San Antonio, what about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, my confidence level increased a lot with this game. Same kind of reasons that Larry had mentioned. We really expected this defense to be good, but we didn't know until the first game, and they exceeded my expectations with two of our main, our two defensive tackle starters out, and one of our starting defensive edge rushers out in Connor O'Toole. So once we get that back, they definitely got a little bit gassed towards the end of the game. Offense probably contributed to that, not able to sustain drives. But I think a big contributor was the fact that we were a little bit thin for this game. So we were lacking some depth. Keeping them fresh, keeping them rotated. Once we get those guys back, I mean, man, this defense can really, really do some great things. Offensively, I'm not impressed right now, but it's kind of what I expected. Once Rising comes back, like Larry said, hopefully him and Keith here are 100% or close, 90 to 100%. That's gonna make this offense a lot less one-dimensional, because I truly believe we were a little bit one-dimensional last night. All they had to do was load the box on us and stop the run, and it made life difficult. So that's gonna really open things up. My expectation for the season, I am looking at the Pac-12 championship again. That I think it's a very, very very high possibility that we could do that yet again. Not going to say playoff. That would be phenomenal. It's going to take, a lot of luck with health and some bounces going our way. We're playing in three very, very, very hostile Pac-12 environments on the road. And then just the cannibalism that occurs within the Pac-12 tends to keep them out of the CFP, and this year it's such a loaded Pac-12, especially offensively. Utah will have the best defense hands down in the Pac-12. I think we're going to have a top 5 defense nationally.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm with you. I feel so good about it. I'd say just to follow up on what you were saying is, the offense is really one dimensional, and I think you'd be crazy whether you're a Utah fan or not to not have a lot of faith that Cam is going to bring something special, even if he's not 100%, even if he's like 85%, he's still going to bring something real special. And I think a lot of people forget how good Brant Keithy was. Before he got injured, he was all people were talking about. Dalton Kincaid was not the star he was until Brant Keithy got injured. And trust me, I was pounding the drum for Dalton Kincaid for a couple of years now. I knew he was awesome, and he just wasn't getting the targets that he deserved. But Brant Keithy is going to be deadly too. I think the question is, how quickly does Cam get back? With how one-dimensional that offense looked, it's like, if Cam's not back by conference play, am I pretty concerned? Yeah, I'm a little concerned. Even against UCLA, I'm a little concerned. And why don't you tell us, man, how do you feel about the season? What are we going to do?
Oh my gosh, this season, guys. Oh, I was right here before this game, and I'm right here, and right here is 10. This is 11 right here out of 10. I'm serious. This team is so dang good. This defense is so dang good. And when Cam Rising gets back with Keithy, oh my gosh, it's so fun to be a Ute fan right now. And guys, I drink the Kool-Aid all the time. I'm a sucker, okay? And so I'm always optimistic about the Utes, but I feel real good about this. I was about 9-3 before this game because it was a little bit of iffy, right? I'm at a 10-2, and I think a 10-2 gets you into the Pac-12 championship and gets you into the playoff if you win that game. So I'm saying, forget the Pac-12. Who cares about the Pac-12 anymore? We're not even in the Pac-12, guys. We're a Big 12 team here. The Pac-12 championship is just a means to get to the playoff right here. And that's the quality of this team with Rising at quarterback. Playoff is everything. That's got to be the focus. Whittingham wants it. The most talented team we've ever had. We've got the beasts on both sides of the ball. We've got the special teams. We've got the coaching. When are we going to have it better? You guys tell me that. Is it going to be next year, the year after? If it's not this year, if we don't make a playoff run this year, despite the schedule, when is it going to be?
Damn, Wild, you're out here getting us jacked up, baby. Come on,
be honest
dude.
about it. Be honest about it. Like, really, like, is it going to be next year? Like, when are we going to have a better team than this year? Like, let's be honest about that with how good this defense is. And finally, we've got special teams, and we've got Cam Rising, a senior quarterback. Like, it just feels like a special season. And to me, the massive game is the Baylor game, guys, for that type of berth. Like, we lose the Baylor game, it's just, you're looking at probably at 8-4 and 9-3 again.
Hey, real quick, Wild Utes, since you're about to bounce, why don't you tell us who are those 2 losses to?
Oh, I think that I know everyone's got Oregon State. I think Oregon State and USC. Oh. I just don't see us winning in the Coliseum this year with that, but I think that we're going to clip Washington. Because Washington's everyone's little favorite boy right now with Penix and everything. I think we're going to punish those guys. I do. And I think USC is going to be a dogfight and everything, but I think they're probably going to edge us out. I think Oregon State is a tough one, short week, Friday night game. It's just so tough. But I think that we get Oregon at home, and I think that we upset Washington. I think Washington's going to be a slight favorite in that game. But I don't know, guys, it just feels like a special season, especially if you win this Baylor game without Rising and he comes in versus UCLA. It just seems like something really special is happening. So really, right now, this 11 out of 10 juice right here, I'm saying playoff. I want the playoff. I'm sick of not being in the playoff. It's time for the Utes to make a run at a title. What are we doing here if we're not trying to win a national championship? We've got the team to do it. Let's make it happen, man. It's the year to do it.
Yeah, and if we do it, I think we'll get our first 5-star player. I think that's when it'll happen. If we can get to the CFP, even if we don't and we win another conference championship, I think real talent has to start looking at Utah. Like, where else are you trying to play, dude? There's maybe 5 other schools you could debate that you'd rather be at. Honestly, if I was a player, I'd want to be at Utah. Seems awesome.
Well, the problem is it's where you get paid now. So
yeah, where you get paid.
We got to win the Washington game, guys. Because seriously, if we do have 2 losses in Pac-12 play, Washington's going to be that crux game where you're just going to have to win that Oregon-Washington swing right there to get in the championship game. So I think that could happen. I see a win versus Oregon. But man, it just seems like a special season. You can go off the rails if we lose to Baylor and stuff. But hey, I'm drinking that Kool-Aid. What are we doing? Yeah, we're college football fans. Come on, let's drink that Kool-Aid here.
Wow, dude, I'm a little different than you, man. I actually am not. I don't know why, dude. After we played USC last time, it was like the light turned on with the boogeyman. I am not worried. I honestly feel really good we're going to beat USC. And I would say Washington's the one where I think we're losing. I think we'd lose Washington and Oregon State. Those are the 2. So we're pretty similar in where we think it's going to happen. I remember when I first put that Oregon State was one of the scariest games on our schedule, a bunch of people were like, oh, you're crazy, dude. Oregon State. It's like, dude, that if DJU is even 3/5 of his potential, he's still pretty damn good. They've got a great defense. I mean, they're not returning a ton to the defense. Really good team, great home field advantage. You want to say anything else before you get out of here, Wild Ute?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And going to be helping out with this channel a little bit. I'm also co-hosting the Holy Rival Show. That's on every Monday and Saturday here. But really, guys, a special season. If you're a Ute fan, enjoy it. And as always, go Utes. Take care, guys.
Take care, man. Yeah, make sure you guys check out the Holy Rival Show. Really cool show that he does, especially as we get into next year when we're talking Big 12. I'm sure that channel will be popping on BYU Utah week. I'm sure that'll be pretty intense. So a topic that popped up for me was, will we beat USC? I mean, I would love – you guys just heard my opinion on USC. I think Caleb Williams is really good, but I also think Utah shook him, and I don't think he's as confident against Utah. I think he's worried. Larry, let's start with you, man. What do you think? Will Utah beat USC?
I think we got a really good shot, and I think it's just based on the same thing that was going on in the Big 12. Every year that Lincoln Riley was there and he kept playing the same teams, they started to figure him out. And So I think we've got a good shot. Caleb Williams I don't know if he looked like he lost interest in that San Jose game.
Yeah.
He didn't look engaged, and maybe that changes. But I mean, he's a real young kid, and he's got all this money now, and he's got NFL aspirations. I don't know. I think I think Washington is probably our toughest game. We've not fared well up there, up at Husky Stadium. After seeing the defense yesterday, I've got a lot more confidence we're going to get the win at Oregon State after what I saw from that defense and the fact that we can hold the edge now, which gets us for mobile quarterbacks. I think we're going to be all right. I think we can go into the Coliseum and beat USC. They're coming off of Notre Dame. They're going to be beat up, and I think we're going to have it for them. I think we can get USC this year.
Dude, I feel that 100%. 100%, man. Yeah, I feel really good about USC. And I'm with you. Like I mentioned earlier, that Washington, that second corner, like when I was talking about that second corner spot for Utah, why it's such a big concern is our defense is that good that it's like, I would hate to have that 1 weak spot. And if you have a bad or, mediocre second and third corner, it's going to be a tough night against Washington. They've got one of the best receiver cores in the country. It's a really good wide receiver group. I was about to go over to San Antonio U, but he looks like he there you are.
No, I'm here. We had family show up. We have a couple of dachshunds, and they bark like crazy. So if you can hear that in the background, I apologize.
I'm going to shut it down in about 5 minutes anyway. So we'll let you get over there in a minute.
I think I'm going to, so I'll get to USC, but I'm going to agree with Wild on this. I think we beat Washington. I also agree with him that they're getting a lot of praise thrown their direction with Penix and everything. I think they might be a little overrated. I'm not saying they're a bad team. They're a great team. I just think they might be a little bit overrated. I think Utah can handle them. They don't have that great a defense. It's going to be similar to USC, minus the offensive explosion or explosiveness, I guess I should say. Both offenses are great, but I think USC is just a step above. So I think we get them there. USC is going to be tough in the Coliseum. I mean, they've had this game circled since December 2nd last year. So that's going to be a tough one. I think they might actually have a couple fans show up too. So that might be interesting. That'll be something different. I do want to read a comment real quick. I lost it. It was from Jake L earlier. I lost it in my. What
is it about? I can try to put it on the screen.
He said, I remember the comment. He said, if Florida wins 9 games, I will wrestle a live alligator to the death. So I guess he was commenting. They were having a back and forth with the Florida troll that was in the chat saying Utah was garbage and we got lucky. So, So beyond USC, y'all mentioned Oregon State. That's gonna be a tough one. It's a Friday night game in Corvallis. They just renovated that stadium. It's going to be loud over there, and they are pissed that they didn't get invited. They're one of 2 that got stuck in the Pac-2 now. If these other 2 accept the invites this week, I saw that the ACC put out the invites to Cal and Stanford and SMU. So, they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder. They're built very similar to Utah, and like everybody else was saying, the addition of DJ Uongalele, they were missing a quarterback last year, and they have one now. And is he gonna look like he did, at Clemson? we can only hope. If Utah puts pressure, maybe we can see that, but that's going to be a tough one. I'm 50-50. I never pick Utah to lose. So, I think they're going to win every game in the Pac-12, but just being a realist, there's probably one, maybe two they drop.
Hey, well, I really like those comments, San Antonio, and I would say I'm with you 100%. I always pick Utah to win. Even I remember when we were playing Oregon. I brought up that game a couple times. But do you guys remember that game, Oregon against Utah? Like when they came to Utah and they had so much hype. They were number 3 in the country, and it was like they basically just had to beat Utah, and that would get them to the college football playoff.
Yeah, that was the USS Salt Lake City game, right?
Yeah.
Returned to put them up 28-0 at the half.
Yeah, the Britton Covey, dude. Oh my gosh, that's the moment I'm talking about when I say my TV started shaking, because I don't think the microphones were ready for how loud it was about to get, and so the volume just. I mean, I bet you that's probably one of the loudest moments in Utah football history. I was jumping out of my seat, dude. Oh my gosh.
I'm getting chills as you talk.
Dude, what a moment. Such a cool time. Well, and I would say, honestly, when we talk about Utah right now, I really feel this way, that Utah is the best team in the Pac-12. And I felt that way going into the season, and last night solidified it for me. But it's really like, I feel like it's Utah's games to lose. And you're going to have stumbles, but it's not like we're going against these teams that are better than us. It's like once Cam is back and we have that defense and Brant Keithy and that deep of a wide receiver room, who is a team that is going to take it to us? And make sure, if you guys are in the chat, please do make sure you guys drop a like. It'll help get the video out to more Utes fans, and drop some comments. We're about to get out of here for the evening, but drop some comments. I'd love to hear what you say. Whether you're watching after or before, I'd love to hear your opinions. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're going to be putting out a lot of content. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll be putting out Baylor Bear content soon. Let's go ahead. If you guys want to talk about anything else, I'm going to get out of here in a couple minutes. Either you two want to talk about anything else before we head out?
Yeah, I want to. I'm going to give Jake the invite if he's willing to wrestle an alligator to death. I've got 3 of them in my backyard. He can choose between the 3, the 4, or the 5-footer, and he can stay at my house for a few days, swim in my pool, and he'd go wrestle that gator to death. So you got that invite, Jake.
Anything you want to talk about, San Antonio?
Well, yeah, I don't think Florida's going to reach 9 wins, so I think he might be safe. Yeah. Kind of hitting on what you were talking about, that Utah is the best team in the Pac-12. I absolutely think so. I think they got disrespected to be, listed as the 3rd best at Pac-12 media days.
Some people had us as like 4th.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, The reason being is we play phenomenal defense. We play a type of system that's a proven winning system, and Utah now has the athletes, the depth, and a pretty dang good offensive scheme to overcome some of these woes that we've had in the past. I mean, it's very well visible. We've won 2 straight Pac-12 championships. We've honestly been to 4 straight, and we're not going to count the COVID year. That there were, what did we play, 5 games and nobody was in the stands. That was
4
year. So
the past 5 seasons where it's been a full game, right? Or a full season. Isn't that the stat? It's like every year in the past 5 years where it's been a full year. That's what the stat is.
Exactly. We said since 2018, Utah's been in the Pac-12 championship game. And why can't we do it again? We have a very, very tough schedule. That's the only thing. And we have, a lot of those, 3 of those tough games on the road. So if we can manage to win 2 of those 3, no doubt we go to the Pac-12 championship game, in my opinion. And I guess we'll go to Rice-Eccles South again and see how that goes, because that place will be packed again with Utah fans. The last the last Pac-12 championship in Vegas, and great place to play. Everyone loves it. And I'm excited for that to happen. I think it's very doable.
I'm with you guys 100%. It's been awesome doing this live stream with you guys. And I appreciate both you guys and everyone else that's been contributing to the channel. Excited to do a lot more, and it's going to be such a fun season. If you guys are watching the channel, make sure you drop that like. Make sure you guys comment. Any of the chats we were just talking about, comment. I'd love to hear your opinions, and subscribe. It's going to be a fun year. We're going to drop a lot of content and have a lot of fun, and it should be a pretty knowledgeable group. I'm excited. Larry, Brian, you guys have a good night. I'll see you. I'm sure I'll see a video from you guys soon. Have
Absolutely. Appreciate it all. And thanks for everyone on the chat, and go Utes.
Go Utes.
Go Utes.